There's one thing you can do with your workouts that we have seen time and again help keep people's bodies from flaring up orthopedically. And on this week's episode of the Exercise is Health podcast, that's exactly what we're going to discuss with you. We're going to cue our introduction and dive right into this conversation. Hey, welcome back, exercisers, to the Exercise is Health podcast, brought to you by Muscle Activation Schaumburg and Exercise for Life Studios, where we believe that your health is your most valuable asset, and the single best thing that you can do to both boost and protect this asset is exercise. Specifically, exercise is geared towards building the health and function of your muscles. We are your hosts, Charlie
and Julie,
and today we are exploring this idea of what do I do if my body keeps flaring up orthopedically? My back keeps flaring up, my knees keep flaring up, my hips, my shoulders, some aspect of your orthopedic system continues to give you trouble. How do you go about working out, and are there things you can do with your workouts to help keep those flare-ups at bay? In fact, there's something that we have seen time and time again be the number one thing that you can do to help keep your flare-ups at bay, and that's what we want to discuss with you today.
That's right. I think flare-ups are like the number one reason why people don't exercise the way that they probably know they should be, or like people like us have told you to exercise. They're like, well, every time I do it, it irritates my knee. It flares up my back. It flares up my shoulder, whatever the area is. And it's almost like, well, that's the reason I don't do it. Although the thing that Charlie and I see all the time is that if you exercise in this specific way, it's actually the best way to prevent flare-ups in the first place. We always go outside of the body in terms of trying to get flare-ups to not be such an issue, things like different types of supplements or changing your diet. But there's actually something you can do in your workouts that really helps to prevent your flare-ups from happening and really actually builds into your body so that you're flaring up less often doing the same types of activities that used to be an issue for you.
Exactly. So what is this thing? It is you need to prioritize building your strength. Prioritize building your strength. We have seen for nearly a decade and a half that the stronger your muscles are and the better your muscles function, the less your body will flare up orthopedically. In fact, we have seen this be so consistent that we would consider it to be an undeniable truth that across the board, regardless of what is going on with your system, when you get your muscles functioning better, when you get your muscles stronger and you make that a priority of your workouts, your body flares up less orthopedically. Okay? So what does this mean? This means that if you are experiencing some kind of flare-up with your body from an orthopedic perspective, you should take that as an indication. You could take that as an indication that the strength of your muscles and the function of your muscles needs to improve. That whatever is going on in your life, your strength is not at the level that it needs to be at. The function of your muscles is not at the level that it needs to be at in order to tolerate doing what you are wanting to do or doing what you are doing throughout your life without your orthopedic system flaring up, okay? And so it's as simple as that. It doesn't need to be it's not a personal attack. It doesn't need to be a big emotional thing. It's just like, okay, yeah, this is indicating to me that I need to get my muscles stronger. I need to get my muscles functioning better. And the great news is there are very simple steps you can do to do that.
That's right. And Charlie, for some reason, it's funny. Maybe this is why this idea of this topic came to me. But yesterday I was just thinking that the amount of things in our body orthopedically that need to be fixed in the way that we think of fixing it, meaning you like do one action and it's all gone forever. Like that's what I think of when people think of as, oh, I fixed my knee problem. Meaning, well, what's the one activity that I do once and then it never comes back again? Is almost like non-existent. And the thing that most people need to fix, no matter what kind of, feelings that you have in your body, symptoms that you have in your body, is your lack of strength. So many people lack appropriate strength in their body. And in fact, the more and more that we see people get stronger and stronger and stronger and work on building their strength, and this is a process. It's not like I go to the gym once and forever I'm fixed with my strength, right? It's a process. The less and less that people have these symptomatic orthopedic issues. And so I almost want to make the argument that all orthopedic issues stem from a lack of strength. If you were strong enough to handle that thing, you wouldn't have had that orthopedic issue. It's also the best way to recover from orthopedic issues, is building up your strength. Because in our life, we don't hope that like life just passes us by and we slowly wither away into like not being able to lift anything up, not being able to hold our bodies up. We want to be able to feel like, hey, I can not only do things in my life, but I can participate in the things I enjoy as I go through the years, and have less and less flare-ups in the meantime.
Exactly. So how do we go about doing this? Well, there's one big shift that needs to take place within your mind about how you see your exercise in order to be able to do this consistently and do this effectively. And you need to start seeing your exercise as something that builds your body, not just something that uses your body. And in order to do that, you need to start partaking in activities where the focus is on building your body and not just using your body. So what does this mean? What are build activities versus use activities? Well, the use activities, let's actually start there because that's a little bit easier to see, and then you can start to identify, oh yeah, like that's actually what I'm doing, okay? So use activities are activities where you are, as the name would imply, just using your body to accomplish something outside of your body, okay? It can be, playing a sport or a game like playing pickleball, okay? You are using your body to play the game of pickleball, okay? At some level, there's often some kind of sacrifice that happens to your body in order to do the thing. It's like, okay, well, I played pickleball and now my shoulder's flared up. It's like, okay, you just sacrificed the health and function of your shoulder in order to to use your body and play this game of pickleball. Walking can be another great example where you are using your body to either travel a distance or to, spend 30 minutes or just to, get out and move. Not that there's anything wrong with just getting out and moving, but understand that it's a distinctly different outcome with your body when you are doing these activities that are using your body versus doing activities where you are specifically trying to build your body.
That's right. And like just what Charlie said, using your body for exercise is a great way to exercise. But you also need to have this component. The way I actually like to think about it is that you definitely want, let's talk about the build stuff, but you definitely need to have the build stuff in your life, in your exercise life. And then if you have a mix of build and use, great. But a lot of people only have the use stuff, right? They say, well, the only thing I do for exercise is walk, or all I do for exercise is play pickleball. And so that's where the issue arises because you're not adding in the build side. So let's talk about what this build side is. So when you exercise, we encourage you to focus on building your strength. And that means you're not compromising any parts of your body to exercise, and the focus is to build your ability to handle more stuff, handle more force specifically. So when you're in the gym, you're focusing on muscle contraction. You're focusing on controlling your speed. You're focusing on respecting your body, not making it so, oh, I just pushed through, or I, disregarded that shoulder issue, or whatever that you might do when you play pickleball, for example, or when you golf or something like that. The goal being build strength and function of my muscles, which control your joints. So you're focusing on muscles and joints when you're exercising to build. So that way you're getting the most strength changes in your workouts. And again, this is the part where most people are missing out, or they're not doing it enough. And the reason we know that it's not enough and people are missing out is because people's bodies are regularly breaking down. And it is a norm in our society that we start having these things, this secret list that we might tell other people about that we can't do. Oh, I don't do that because that flares up my back. Oh, I don't do that. I hope to golf in my retirement, but I can't because my back can't handle it. So you start having this list of activities or body uses that you can no longer do, and that shows us that your strength is low enough that you can't handle that. So we really encourage you to have regular exercise that is geared towards strictly building the strength and function of your muscles and joints. So that way, when you go and do your use stuff, you're not flaring up as much.
Absolutely. There's also a focus of adding challenge to the level that is appropriate and tolerable for your body. Okay. A lot of times what we see is when we are using our bodies, the challenge is either way too low or it's actually past what our body would be able to tolerate. So there's a fine balance there of making sure you're adding enough challenge without overdoing it. And what we see a lot of times is when people try to start doing exercise to build their body, they are hesitant on this challenge part, okay? They are adding a challenge to where they feel emotionally comfortable. Like, oh yeah, I don't know that I actually should go beyond that, but it's not really the amount of challenge that their body's needing. It's not enough stimulus for their body, even though in their mind they're like, okay, yeah, like this feels kind of heavy, so it's heavy enough. It's like, no, 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 actually your body is capable of way more than this. And if you are only challenging it to the level where your mind is like, oh yeah, that's enough, well, then your body is just going to continue to regress down to that level. So in order to keep your strength up, in order to continuously build your strength and build the function of your muscles, there needs to be an aspect of continuously challenging your body. And again, not just to a level where your mind says, oh yeah, that's enough.
Challenge is seriously key when you're trying to build your strength. We're trying to show your body and teach your body like, hey, these challenges we can handle and we can adapt to. Adapt means we can change up to, right? So if your whole life is all about daily activities, daily life activities we call, you wake up, you make your oatmeal, you go for a mild walk, you went grocery shopping, you played, you played cards with your friend, or whatever your daily life is, your body starts adapting to that. So if there's not a lot of strength requirement, then your body's going to lose a lot of strength. So this build time, like what Charlie was saying, we got to focus on the challenge. We got to be showing our body that, hey, regularly we need to keep strength because regularly we show up to this thing that's very, very challenging. And the amount that you challenge your body in the gym is the amount that your body will adapt to. So again, we're trying to show your body and expose your body to this environment that probably isn't in your daily life. The thing that we're always focusing on when we're building our strength is building and improving strength and function, right? So we don't want to see what most people experience where they're like, well, I tried working out and then like my knee was shot. Okay, so that was like a challenge that decreased your strength and function. We want to have a biased time that both are happening, right? I'm challenging my body with this exercise and it's building the strength and function. The way you know an exercise is building your strength and function is that at the end of the session, you're moving more freely. You have more ability to move. You're feeling more strong. It's not like you're crawling out of the gym like, I just crippled myself because I've, annihilated all my muscles and now they're not working. But we want to see that you're trending in the positive direction. And so that's how you know if the exercise was promoting strength and function in your body. Now, Charlie brought up in our use type exercise conversation how when you use your exercise, like doing sports or doing something just to pass the time, like going for a 30-minute walk just to fill 30 minutes, what happens is that you're doing external things, right? Like when you play a sport, you're trying to win, you're trying to hit the ball, you're trying to have fun with friends. Or when you go for a walk for 30 minutes, you're trying to go a distance. You're trying to fill a certain amount of time. You're trying to do your route, something that is external of your body. When you do building exercise, we're trying to focus on the internal of your body. And so that eliminates any external benchmarks or comparisons, things like that. One we see a lot is when people go to, for example, like an exercise class, they're like comparing how their body is moving and how much weight they're moving to other classmates or the teacher. And so we're trying to eliminate that and trying to emphasize, what is my body doing right now? How can I maximize what my body can do right now? And what is the strategic challenge that my body needs so that I can be building in the right direction?
Yeah, this is a really big one where a lot of people will be like, okay, cool, like I'm going to start, working out to build my strength. Awesome. But then they get caught up in the goal of, well, every week I need to increase my weights by 5 pounds. Or last week I did this much weight. So this week I need to do at least this much weight, or I need to do at least this many reps. And they are comparing themselves, even if it's not to other people, it's to a previous version of themselves, whatever self of theirs showed up yesterday or the week before. And we need you to drop those relative comparisons. It's not that like you shouldn't have benchmarks, and it's not that you shouldn't be able to track your progress or anything like that. But you have to show up to every workout saying, hey, wherever my body's at today, that's where I'm going to challenge it at. I'm not trying to challenge a body that I had yesterday or the challenge a body that I had last week. I'm just trying to challenge the body that I have today. And so if you're feeling a little bit more tired, if you are a little bit sore after the workout before, if something's just feeling off with your system, you need to be able to acknowledge that and say, okay, well, based on how I'm doing today, this is what an appropriate challenge looks like. I'm not comparing it to how I was yesterday, how I was last week, or anything like that. It's a really big one. If you can implement that one thing, that will make a huge difference in how you go about implementing everything that we're talking about today, from the aspect of using your workouts to build the strength and function of your muscles, build the strength and function of your body. So what steps should you be taking in order to be able to implement these things consistently? All right, from a function perspective, for us, the number one thing that you can do is muscle activation techniques. Hands down, this system is specifically designed to improve the function of your muscles, to identify where in your body you have muscles that aren't functioning well, and then to specifically address those muscles to get them functioning better. And once your muscles start functioning better and you have enough muscles functioning better, that's when you can really start to get all the benefits of not only just all the activities that you're doing, but specifically the strength training activities that you're doing.
That's right. MAT is hands down the fastest, most efficient way that we have seen to change your ability to exercise, to do activities in your life. So especially if you're experiencing some type of regular type flare-ups, or maybe you're having one flare-up right now, MAT is a great way to figure out what muscles are causing that type of flare-up, what muscles cause that imbalance, and if it's a flare-up, it's a kind of a highlighted imbalance right now. And what we do is we make muscles work better so that each and every joint is functioning better and all muscles are doing their job, versus some muscles doing the job of the other muscles and compensating through. What we find as a result of MAT is not only does it change your experience of symptoms with this flare-up, but it also sets you up to be stronger after a session and in the future, right? We don't want to see like, hey, I have an injury and now I'm just like 3 steps back from where I was, and then the next flare up, I'm another 3 steps, and I'm another 3 steps. That is like the perfect combination to set you up to just get weaker and weaker and weaker with time. MAT is a great way to build up your system so that after you come to MAT sessions, or you do your chunk of MAT sessions, you're ready to strength train harder, you're ready to play harder, because again, we don't want to see this large slope of decline as the years go by.
Absolutely. So the next thing that you need to make sure you're adding in is strength training consistently throughout your week, specifically following our 4 exercise for life principles. Those 4 exercise for life principles are the keys to making sure that your strength training workouts continue to build your health, build your strength, build your function without increasing the risk for achiness, without increasing the risk for injury, without increasing the risk for feeling sore, and ultimately not exercising on a consistent basis. All right, those 4 principles are the guides that allow you to challenge your body, like we talked about. Challenge your body and make sure that the challenge remains appropriate for your body, because you are respecting your range of motion. You are controlling all aspects of your body, what you want to move, what you don't want to move. You're moving at a speed that is appropriate for your body and for the challenge that you're trying to create, and you're keeping your focus within your body by keeping that focus on squeezing your muscles. Okay, you follow those 4 exercise for life principles and apply them to your strength training workouts that you do on a consistent basis. That will be, in our opinion, the fastest and most efficient way to build your strength, not only here and now, but continue to build your strength long term.
Yeah, we know to build strength, you have to be regularly challenging your body at a high level. And we also know that's one of the number one ways why people get injured. But these 4 exercise for life principles, when applied to every exercise, is like your insurance policy to make sure that, hey, I'm strategizing to keep all the strength part, but not do the overtaxing and potentially injurious part. So if you haven't tried the 4 exercise for life principles, definitely start applying them to every single motion that you do at the gym, and you're going to notice a crazy difference in how things feel and your ability to stay strong and healthy as you exercise.
So if you're finding that your orthopedic system is continuously flaring up or flaring up even just from time to time, you're wondering, how do I keep this from happening? For us, in our experience, the number one thing that we have seen to be most effective to keep the orthopedic system not flared up is building the strength and function of your muscles, okay? Doing exercise that's specifically focused on building your strength, on building the function of your muscles through both muscle activation techniques and strength training using the 4 Exercise for Life principles. Now, if you'd like to try out muscle activation techniques for yourself and you're in the Chicagoland area or are willing to travel to the Chicagoland area, that is our specialty here at Muscle Activation Schaumburg. You can see our availability and get on our schedule by going to www.matschaumburg.com. We have a big green button that says Get Started. You can click that and you can schedule yourself for your initial MAT consultation and assessment. And if you would like our guidance in applying the 4 Exercise for Life principles to every single workout that you do, even if you're working out from home and you don't have much equipment, it's exactly what we teach you to do within the Exercise for Life membership. You can get your first 30 days to the membership for free by going to www.exerciseforlifestudios.com. So who do you know that needs to hear this episode? Who do you know that finds that their back, their knees, their hips, their shoulders, some aspect of the orthopedic system continuously flares up on them and they're not sure what to do about it? They've tried this, they've tried that, but it's just nothing is helping and nothing has been a sustainable solution for them long term. Share this episode with them so they can hear what has been, in our experience, to be the number one thing that everybody across the board can do to help keep the orthopedic flare-ups to a minimum. And while you're online, head on over to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to us and leave us a rating and review. Not only does it help people find our podcast when they're looking for information on exercise, it also helps them find our podcast when they're looking for information on health. So if you found value in this conversation today, let us know by leaving us that 5-star rating and review. Well, thanks so much for tuning in. We always appreciate it. Have a fantastic week, and we'll talk with you all next week.
This podcast is for information purposes only. The statements and views on this podcast are not medical advice. This podcast, including Julie and Charlie Gates, disclaim responsibility for any possible adverse effects from the use of information contained herein. Opinions of guests are their own, and this podcast does not endorse or accept responsibility for statements made by guests. This podcast does not make any representations or warranties about guest qualifications or credibility. This podcast may contain paid endorsements or advertisements for products or services. Individuals on this podcast may have a direct or indirect financial interest in products or services referred to herein. If you think you have a medical issue, consult a licensed physician.